No.
Feel free to chip in. We're just sort of organizing ourselves a little bit for Saturday. Meeting for the regional meeting.
Are you able to come to that?
Yeah, she's on the list.
She's signed.
We're
not, because we didn't.
So Lydia, we figured we're gonna have cider, full cider for people. Coffee and tea, I figured the Keurig, does that
Yes,
work for that?
it does.
Do you have coffee? Do we need to buy coffee thingies for it?
Maybe. I have 40.
Maybe some people, I think most of the people will have cold drink.
We have coffee.
You have coffee, we don't need to go out and buy that. What do you do for cream? I personally, I don't do powdered stuff, I think.
Wendy just bought some fresh half.
Those little the little cuppy things.
No, it's a little pint.
Okay. Could we consider, somebody asked me this, it's a mahjong, could we get those sort of shelf staple little cups?
People complain about those too. It's chemical.
They want
There's chemicals in them.
to make them shelf stable.
So you can't win.
You can't win either way.
Non-dairy creamer lasts a long time.
Yeah.
Liquid.
I'm so, well, I don't like it. I just like regular cream.
We just.
Extra. Half. Yeah, so we use
And then
We usually have it one, and we move it from fridge to fridge to depending on where you are.
So
Richard's, I think.
Richard's gonna pick up a container of hash. And then you
So take a vote at your mind on, if people want it, we'll get it, but most of the public don't want it like the dry stuff.
Well, I like this liquid. It's not powder. I hate the powder stuff. Coffee too powder.
I will,
it's
to stop it.
Yeah. And then, I had said she would bring some fruit.
Yeah, I have, two, matching like white platters that are kind of nice
For we,
that I bring,
okay.
and then we could,
As people, as we bring stuff in.
Yeah.
So basically, we on Barrington trustees
Yeah,
who are coming need to be here at 10 on Saturday. So that, and some people coming from away will arrive early. And
I'll be here.
You'll be here at 9.
I'm here, so
Well-
anyone that wants to come anywhere.
Okay, because we just need to have people who are bringing donuts and cookies and whatnot to come at least by 10 o'clock. Pardon?
Do you need any more cookies or are you all good?
I would be happy to have somebody else make some cookies. I was the only one who volunteered. I didn't bring my other notes.
It was, I can bring some little, I'll put them in a.
It's kind of a morning thing. Yeah.
I'll make like, like little muffin things.
Okay, because it is a breakfast sort of thing.
Cookies and nothing, just.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Esther's gonna probably bring a couple dozen,
I should get my phone.
That's gonna be two.
Thunder donuts. There'll be lots of stuff, but not everybody eats everything. Okay.
Actually, nowadays. What about Ezra?
Esther's bringing cider donuts. And so we have a bunch of other stuff, and I think the fruit's a good idea.
Yeah.
And, I'm trying to think, other ones I've been to, some people like to linger and talk afterwards, but it's not a huge food event, so.
Right.
Number cookies.
Okay, we'll go over that list, because if we have too many cookies and donuts
Right.
and cider,
Right.
we're gonna have too much food. You know what would work better than cookies? Fruit. Well, you're gonna do fruit, but you want some help with fruit?
Yeah, so,
I can feel great.
what?
I can feel great, but it's joking.
Well, why don't you get grapes? That way I'll know that that's one thing that you're getting, and
Okay.
then I'll just get melons, blueberries.
Sounds good.
Okay.
Okay.
And when you get them, cut them up so that there's like 2 or 3 grapes together.
Yes.
The other thing that might work well would be like another bread, tea bread,
Okay.
something like that.
Okay.
That's a little more breakfasty.
Okay, instead. I got these little, right. Like ramekins, one spoon, ones.
yellow, one's green. It looks good. Good for a set.
Yeah.
It's better if I can do it. I'll bring those Friday. Yeah.
Okay,
With that.
sounds good.
I'm good. I will bring real photos. I have a lot of them. For the community, for these of the community has. In case people want to use books. So we
Okay.
don't do plastic. They're solid works.
Yeah, that's
They're
good.
nice. Yeah, they're nice.
Single wood at the end.
Yeah.
Okay, anything else for that?
June 5, Saturday.
We'll we'll basically have everybody do a quick introduction of name and what library they're from, and not anything more. You know, when people say, what's your biggest question? I mean, that is like,
You're in the book series, and I have two favorites. Yeah, which one of them? With, like, the all the way with the monsters.
Oh,
yeah, yes. Yeah.
I'm not gonna count them much chairs up.
There's Melanie. What else is coming? It starts now, everything.
Melody and maybe Dave.
5, 6. I think Melanie's the only other one too.
You don't know.
Yep.
American born.
I have not heard, I never hear from Melanie. He either shows up or he doesn't, but his wife is. Is she at home?
She's at home. And most of you know Sandy or Dan. Sandy is in her last days. But she, if you are friends with her, she likes visitors because she's really warm. And it's easy to be with her. She's,
Is she in the hospice?
no, she's at home.
No,
No,
I
but I
mean,
mean,
does she have hospice service?
That's interesting that didn't come up.
Yeah.
Well, Dan's meetings, they take it.
Oh,
that's
physician.
It's very sad.
Well. It's 5:25, it's not 5:30, I can't start. I'm ready.
Yeah, I'm so close now to the library. I'm like, oh, I mean, 2 minutes away.
The other thing I want to show my chair, I said, once again, I left my mug of coffee on the shelf. They said, oh, just go get it. And I said, no, you're 2 minutes away. I said, yeah, 2 minutes there, 2 minutes back. I'm gonna get the coffee. And meanwhile, I'll find us a whole round of magic. So
And you could have made one on here.
I could have made one there, but it was that a cup of coffee was sitting on the counter in my mug, all, you know, in my thermos. Oh, well, my husband enjoyed it.
I said,
Yeah, we
that I was
talk
looking
about,
at my
Saturday.
Yes,
Okay.
we're just talking about that. It's under old business.
Okay, okay, good. The other question, I do a very quick little update on the event.
Yes.
Okay.
And the building. I'm hoping this is not that I want this to be a short meeting, but it doesn't actually.
Send her an email from Susan. I was at the last friends meeting. Yeah. And she were not also, so maybe Carolina can come up.
Yes.
Yeah.
They came this, I can bring the federal.
Tell
Yeah, that's where better.
But I was thinking, I said that you will do this. She said that evidently several people have been, be sessions out in the yard, like a pumpkin bread or nut bread or banana bread or something like that.
The brown apple.
Yeah.
And
Because it is just, it is. It's just right there in November. Yeah.
The brain is just starting.
It's supposedly, we're doing on that committee, we'll just.
I'm rattle.
No, but I sure at the rest.
Just- I think you did. Bob.
We're gonna be in here.
You could do this.
I can see it, and it's talking about.
Letting this go hang us.
In the chair. Richard, did you, your phones, that little portion of phones?
You're here.
No, okay, because I brought it in today, because it's work of the winter. Yes, so this is what I'm just saying.
Well, I don't know, obviously, what's in it?
The books are.
I think so, you're right, because it's no sense.
Your mic, no.
Oh, wonderful, I have been missing one of these.
Nice to meet you.
Let me know if there was enough.
Thank you so
You're welcome.
much. I know a lot of
Thanks,
training
Wendy.
on the towns that really.
This one for you. Thank you so much. This one for you. Oh, this one. Let's be a secretary.
Are you
Not secretary.
Yeah. Where are you? Carolina's not secretary, it's Ezra is secretary.
We always miss something.
And I was gonna say, I still have my house phone, but I could get my cell phone.
If you want any updates on it, mark it up and, I'll fix that and just.
Okay.
That's on.
Okay, yeah.
Do you want one sheet?
Cell phone if you want to post.
Sure.
Okay. Maybe you're going to check that.
Yeah.
See how close our telephone numbers are?
These are
See
the
how close our telephone numbers are?
Oh, my,
I know, I think.
yeah.
And you
probably had it for a number of years, huh?
Yeah.
Oh,
That's your landline, right?
Probably about 50 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's 45. Yeah, but it's a landline.
That would be right.
Yeah.
Mine is 50.
Yeah, that's fine.
One number off of me.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Okay, well, I think it's 5:29 is gonna be fine.
I think they need.
Any carrots. So, welcome everybody. And Lydia, so we are, I'm looking at us. So part of us, anyway.
Oh, yeah, see,
So,
but like some of us.
Oh, that's nice. And if anybody signs on. So,
That's good. Somebody will have to let me know.
Okay, if we see a mistake, pop us. Okay.
okay.
Usually it's accept any minutes.
Good, yeah, so welcome. I don't think we need the introductions, right? You all know who you are. I'll look and find, what we do need is somebody to take minutes because Ezra is not here. So I think we should have somebody taking minutes who is not doing another job while we're there. Diane, would you take minutes today? Or if it's Diane or Debbie?
I can do it.
Debbie's gonna do it, great.
That's one thing that's still, I wasn't quite sure, but
So, well, apparently we want
we start.
Debbie,
Debbie.
thank you, Debbie. And after you draft them, then you can email me and I'll, yes, correct it. So,
Do you want to use this paper?
Oh, thank you.
and so the meeting is convened at 5:30. Any public comment, anybody here want to make a public comment as a public member of the principal trustee? If not, no public comment. Public meeting minutes of September 16. I sent those out with edits as an attachment. I'm still having a little trouble with getting straight on how this is working with Ezra, because he uses pages. So as you know, when he sends it to you, he sends it to you in pages and in PDF. I can do pages, so when I make edits, I can go right into the document. So I'm not sure what all comments he may have had. Okay. So anyway, I sent you my version. Did anybody have any edits? in that version? None. Is there a motion to approve the meeting minutes from September 16?
I make a motion to accept the minutes.
And is there a second?
I'll second. Invite who and who, please?
Carolina was the first and I was the second.
Melanie. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Next is accepting donations. The first is the cash received and deposited in this, September, right?
Yes.
$88.88. Lydia detailed the source of those funds. So does anybody have any questions of Lydia about rousing income?
Another question, does that the money that is at the desk, is it, issue?
It's most of it's from cash donations, but one of them was an Amazon refund.
So
I think of them.
That's it.
is there a motion to accept the donation, I don't know whether the refund really counts as a donation, but I think it's where.
It goes back into that account, and
It goes
so
into that.
my number wouldn't have matched Melanie's if I had put that in my.
With an abundance of caution to be accurate, is there a motion to accept the cash donations of 8888?
Good motion.
Richard made the motion,
And I'll second.
Richard, and yeah. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay, the next one, I just listed without a number because I'll give you some information. The staff wanted to go ahead and order some furniture, some additional furniture to replace some of the old furniture that we have. And the cost for that was, I don't have it right in front of me, but about $10,200 and some number like that. So I thought it would be good to ask the foundation if they would cover that. We're very close on spending of the money in the bond. And I did not feel comfortable that we could really cover that in the bond. So, I attended the foundation meeting, which was last Tuesday. And they discussed it and they decided they would like to cover the full amount of that. We've had some discussion back and forth about, and I had forgotten the library rule about when you have to post it in a newspaper before you can accept a donation. The town they can accept donations under $10,000 without posting it in the newspaper. And so, and Cindy Hoisington, their treasurer, knew that. So the discussion was, well, should we really just give you a check for $9,900 before you? And that was the direction they were heading in. And then I realized our limit is 5,000. So basically, their decision was they voted to fund the full amount of that, which is the 10,200. We don't have the check as yet, and we couldn't accept it today because it has to be noticed in the newspaper at least 7, I think it's business days in advance. So we will put that on the agenda for the November meeting. If the furniture arrives before then, I don't know, Lydia, if you have a delivery date.
It hasn't been ordered yet.
Oh, it hasn't even been ordered.
No, I was waiting to make sure we had
Okay.
a definite form of payment.
Yeah,
That's
so basically, whatever it is, we ordered that, but we will do the notice in the newspaper and put it on the agenda for November, and we'll receive that helpful donation. I was going to say, if it came in and we had to pay a deposit or something in advance, we could pay that out of trustee funds because we'll be putting the check in that fund if needed. Robert.
You said replacing furniture, so can we sell the old furniture and make some money on it?
We'll try.
Okay.
What we have been doing is offering any of our old stuff to the rec. I'm
But I
not
don't
sure,
think they-
I don't think they would want those large chairs. You can offer them, I mean, they're 25 years old.
Well, even if we get $20.
Yeah. And I think they're still attractive. They don't really match the style of the current furniture, but they're still
It's the
quite
blue ones,
serviceable.
the blue ones.
Yes, yeah. So, and I think, Lydia, do you want to run down what the pieces are that you plan to order?
So in the bar adult fiction room where the coffee stained glass is. So there'll be 2 oversized chairs there. Those tables will still be there. And then a bench or a couch style that we measured, fixed the ADA width and whatever, that will go under the window. So in that room, they'll be printed on the chairs, but the couch will be solid. And then we'll have 2 swivel chairs over near the quilt. That's solid color so that it won't like screen at the quilt.
And those are those swivel ones.
Yes,
Like the
like the
ones
ones
in
near
the
the,
garage are very
The
comfortable.
hospitality.
Yeah. The other piece of furniture that, has that been ordered yet?
Yes.
There was a new 5-foot piece for the sort of what I call the story time area. Needed to come out a little bit further around that, and that's about $1,500.
And we used funds out of the miscellaneous account to pay.
So So that'll be the last of the purchases on that kind of stuff. So that's the information. As far as the foundation is continuing to operate. There was, last year, you may remember we did, or the foundation did, Giving Tuesday, and a number of people gave matching fund kind of donations, and so that whole thing brought in like over $30,000. It was very,
That's
very low. It was 15,000 offered in match, and we more than met that. And that all went to the solar project. They decided that this year, rather than asking for more money, I said, it's still good to keep in touch with donors, and keep that connection. So what they're going to do instead is do a thank you to like they have the cards printed up that were for the donors, for the major donors. They're going to have cards printed up that are a thank you note on Giving Tuesday, basically saying, what we want to do is give you thanks for that. So it keeps in touch with the donors. That'll cost them a couple $100. So anyway, that's what they're going to do for Giving Tuesday. They are reapplying. You have to reapply every year to be a beneficiary of one of the casinos. And so there's a process they have to go through, and they're working on that to keep that going. I was involved with Cornerstone BNA, and they had 10 days at the Rochester Casino, which is owned by the same company that does the one up north that we were. And our foundation received $23,000 as that partnership, which was pretty amazing because it was end of April. So it just past mud season, nothing special up in Conway going on. And they still made that. That was a share. The VNA had 10 days in Rochester, and they received $47,000.
Wow.
That's amazing. And it will all be put to good use. So even if you don't like gambling, the way New Hampshire works is, sin taxes,
I think it has to give
alcohol and
35% to charities and 10% to the state, I think.
yeah, it's big money for the state as well. And they're making money okay too. So anyway, that's the foundation is hoping to recruit some new members to the board. They have a 5-member board. That's the minimum required you have to have a nonprofit in New Hampshire. So if you know anyone who would be interested in learning about the foundation and being involved with that, let us know and pass that along to them. Treasurer's report, Melanie.
Yes. We earned $48.85 in interest over our interest-bearing accounts and then also. I did successfully renew the CD that's followed up for Seacoast Bank for the 1 year as we voted on last meeting. 3.4% is the interest rate, and that will expire next September. And I'd like to suggest that we start considering what we might want to do with the remaining money that we have, about $38,000, not including our CDs. And if we might want to think about potentially investing some, now that this project is behind us. So that can be something that we discuss maybe at the next meeting, put it on the agenda once more of the dust has settled.
Yeah. Okay, and I brought in some squares that need to go around this table. Then we'll take them. I've left them over there. They're okay. Chocolate. I know your hands good. A little pocket. So there's this.
And they're gluten free.
Yeah, no, they're not gluten free. Sorry.
Good.
That's okay. That's really healthy.
But they'll go back for, Margum's arms.
Oh,
So. Anything else?
That's it for me.
That's it for you. Wow. Dan's not here. I will be, it's not really a select board report, but I went to the first advisory budget committee meeting where they were doing a general review of the whole budget and the budget process and timing. What was on the agenda that was particular interest to me was a report on the compensation survey and study they did. However, that was not ready yet for discussion. Connor said they'd have to talk about that at a future meeting. I don't know where it stands in the process, but it sounded like the select board has just gotten an initial draft. So I think what I'd like to do on that topic, I was thinking about this. I think it would be useful for us to invite Connor to come to maybe our November trustees meeting to share whatever the decisions are on that. And we can talk a little bit more about the budget review next, but just as a reminder, the library's budget review at the advisory budget committee is set for November 12th at 3:30 in the afternoon. So I always encourage trustees who are interested. It's an open meeting and they meet in the select board room now, so there's plenty of time. So can you say that? The date is November 12th at 3:30 in the afternoon at Town Hall, and that's the ABC meeting. So Lydia, up to your report.
Yes. So the biggest thing that I want to point out is that Isabella has been phenomenal. Really exceeded my expectations of someone that has been here this short period of time. She's been really catching on, and we haven't put her out on her own yet, but she's about there.
So she's doing shelving and doing some
Yeah.
desk stuff.
Yep, she's done patron cards. She went through the closing procedure. So, yeah. Just reading my fingers crossed that we can keep her. Please cross on your fingers.
Well, that's, the whole staffing thing is something we'll be talking about with the ABC, so.
Yeah.
Really gonna have to. We really have fewer hours of staff time, but making Joe full-time was pretty expensive. Not because of the additional hours, it was only 6 more hours. It was the benefits that made it expensive. But it means we can hold on to the.
Benefits package ends up being more than the salary.
Yeah.
Most cases.
Yeah,
Busy, still been busy. Saturday, it was a beautiful day, so that was the least busy we've been since we've been here in July. I think we only had like 58 people last night. But it was beautiful, and we know that it's getting to the end of when people can be outside. So I didn't panic. It picked back up on Monday and Tuesday. Today's been pretty busy too. We did give up 5 cards that day.
so still new.
Still new patrons coming in. Somebody came in tonight and she's like, "Oh, when did you open?" And we said July, and she goes, "Oh, good grief." That was our first time here.
Yeah. Okay.
Does anybody have any questions about my report? Did you get it? Yes.
I looked at it briefly.
Oh.
Because I was gonna print out any information.
Lydia, I know you've gone over the budget, the operating budget, and I know you had to go through it and estimate what would be unspent
Yeah.
when you did the budget. What's your assessment of that at this point?
There are lines that we still have, like Isabella had to come off at the part of the program line. I have set aside $2,800 to get her through till December 29th. But we're still okay on the contract line. The electricity bill was kind of freaking out because the solar was down for a bit. So the electricity bill went from $394 to $699. But hopefully it's fixed and we're back doing some reduction on that.
That was, by the way, one of the questions, as you know, from the ABC. They asked Connor for information about the town solar, what's the impact of their solar panels and on the library. And it'll be too early. We'll give them the actual numbers that we've seen since we've been open. And since the solar came online, because before solar, it was a little over $1,000. And we weren't really fully even open at that point, by the way.
No.
ABC?
Advisory Budget Committee. In the report the selectmen's report that Lydia forwarded us last time, there is within that report a direct link in Connor's report to the online budget. All the details, all the information. So I would urge you to take a look at that. I mean, save that link. It's very useful.
Mhm.
Over time, a lot of different things on not just our budget, but every budget.
The solar being down, was that something that could happen again? Or was that just a one-time occurrence?
It had something to do with the electricity coming from there to the building.
Had to do something with the connection.
Yeah,
And Jack Bingham monitors this remotely, so
and he was right on it.
he was right on it. And when I was here one time, he was just coming in with an electrician with him when they were working to get on whatever the connection issue might be, so.
So hopefully that is fixed and
Yeah.
good now. So the other one thing that I needed to do was to get approval on the 2026 holiday schedule. Did you all have a chance to look at it? There really was no other changes from last year except for closing early on New Year's Day. I mean, New Year's Eve. New Year's Eve.
Yeah.
But that was the only change from last year.
I wondered about, let's see, so you have Christmas Eve closed, that's not an issue. And
These are all the town ones.
yeah. And at this time, are we pretty much doing the same as the town? Because sometimes we would do day after Christmas, or they would do day after Christmas, we would do Christmas Eve, or vice versa. So.
Well, and so I actually had, kind of got called to the principal's office yesterday. With Debbie. Because the former policy was that if you they were paid for a holiday, even though they weren't scheduled to work that holiday. And so Tori. If you
Right.
worked over 20 hours a week,
You get paid,
you were to, I was supposed to give her another day off. But since we signed that MOU in August, we need to adhere to the town policy.
right, and actually, I thought that we used to have a system where but that was old policy.
Well, that's what we had until that MOU was signed. So anyway, I told Debbie, I sent her an email, well, we had a phone call. She went over the policy with me. Oops, okay, so Tori's gonna be paid for it this time, but I sent a memo out to all the staff yesterday explaining why this change needed to be made. And that going forward, if you are not scheduled to work that holiday, then you don't get paid.
Right,
So,
and Victoria is the one who that affects the most, because she doesn't work on Mondays.
and Wendy wanted to start taking Mondays off on the weeks that she works Saturdays. So I went through the schedule, I got through, it's the end of January. And so I just switched my Saturdays with Wendy so that she wouldn't be working a Saturday on those holiday weeks. She'll get the holiday.
Can we just schedule everybody to work on a holiday?
What'd you say?
Can we just schedule everybody to work on a holiday?
No.
No, I remember that from years and years ago. I'm trying to say, well, you were probably on the trustee board back then. Because this town always had the policy that you are paid for the full hours you're scheduled to work. If it's a holiday and you work 2 days a week and Monday's one of those days, you get fully paid for that. But if you're not, you don't. And I used to think that's not. You should get 20% of whatever your schedule and work around that. And I think that's what the library did for a number of years, but I thought they had gone back to doing what the town was doing, so. Not really. Well, anyway, now we are
And the conversation yesterday really didn't go over well
with
with
Debbie.
staff.
Oh, with staff.
Oh, no, with Debbie was fine. She just said, I just need it in writing that it was your error and to go ahead and pick.
Okay.
So I did
I
that.
mean, the staff is not happy with the change in policy.
Well, no. But I did, like I said, I purposely went through the schedule to make sure they weren't scheduled on a Saturday schedule on a week where there's a holiday. I switched that. Which I still get paid because that.
Your salary, your salary, it doesn't matter.
Well, the other thing too is my regular day off is a Thursday and that
Right.
hardly ever is affected.
Thanksgiving.
I'm working the day after Thanksgiving. Yeah, so I don't. It wasn't that big of a deal to me. I mean, I understood their perspective of it
But isn't Tori the only one it affects?
and Wendy.
Well, and Wendy because of what she wanted to do, that she's
She is
full-time.
going to start taking Mondays off.
Since she's now rest.
If she works Saturday,
Oh, she's full-time.
she's gonna take the Monday to have 2 days together. That
Yes.
makes sense.
Because right now she has Tuesdays off. Now I had recommended that to her back in August, I think, but she had already done a story time schedule and she'd scheduled them on Mondays and Fridays. So we did talk the other day. I said, well, we have to get the story time schedule down pat. We have to choose a time and we have to stitch. So I said, where there's a break in story time beginning December 1st. So her first one was like I said, there's ways of working around it to
Yeah.
make sure that they get their holiday.
Okay, so what we need to do is, we need to have a motion to approve the 2026 holiday schedule.
I'll make that motion. And I'll second.
No one getting and Lydia. Any other discussion or questions? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay.
Nation.
Um,
Oh, okay.
Somebody used to roll.
and I mentioned, I'm trying to think if there was anything else on the budget. The, I probably could find a link to the presentation that Connor did. Because he also, as you may remember, and you'll see this at the deliberative session and so on, he goes through and what are the major changes over, either over 10% or over $10,000, how did that shift? And the library does show up there. One reason it shows up is because we moved a lot of money into maintenance, library maintenance that we never had to pay for, and utilities, that sort of stuff. That had previously in this year's budget just been listed in the contracts line rather than in building maintenance. So that shows up as a shift.
So, yeah, hasn't
It's
it's affected the tax rate because it just shifts from the town to us. Same amount
well,
of money.
it's the tax rate, if you want to look at it this way, because yes, it shows up in ours. There were always utilities paid on the other building, but the town paid it. But it's an increase because the town was still going to be heating that building for Rick. So it's an increase, which would be, they expected, when you have
Right.
to add a building online, you're of course going to have additional expenses to that. The other thing that was, showed up was the staffing. And that was an increase of 17,000 over, I guess, this year's budget. And that was because of making Joe full-time and then adding, Isabella, thank you. Then we come.
So I guess I was confused and thought, because Wendy and Joe are full-time, so I thought full-time that they were the salary, but they're not.
They're not.
I'm the only salary.
They're full-time hourly.
Okay.
I think we quite honestly could make an argument for, if we wanted to make a, Wendy salary, because she has management responsibilities as assistant director. But, you have to have management supervisory responsibilities to be a salary employee.
Okay.
So, I think if there's anything else under budget, Lydia and I have been working together on budget stuff a lot. And we'll just need to think through the present. Well, it's not the same as making a presentation. Now the ABC reviews your budget, reviews all the materials provided in advance, and they have a list of questions. And then you come to the meeting and answer, with answers to their questions. So we'll see how it goes. It's a little bit different, but I'll tell you what has changed over the last several years is the structure where, again, if you follow this for a long time, they always had this advisory budget committee, always, but for a long time, but it was purely advisory. They would bring up questions, but all the departments were also making a presentation, both to the ABC and then to the select board. And now the select board is really having the ABC really manage most of the budget review process. And then they make their comments and recommendations to the select board. A department can ask to present to the select board directly, but it's not routinely done the way it used to be. So I'd say I was kind of impressed with the ABC though, the kind of questions they were asking, the information they were getting. I think they were going to be doing a good review, or at least a thorough review. So building project, signage, when we went ahead and ordered the letters for the gable. And we had to pay the deposit. The total cost of that is going to be just over $5,000. So about half what it would have cost to have a sign in front of the building and the ground. And I think they expect that will be ready for installation around the 1st of November, something like that. And then the Bowen got a quote from Secocia to put in a light above that would shine down so that it would be illuminated at night. And that's going to cost around $900. It'll come through Bowen's contract. I don't think there's anything else on signage. I think that's it for signage. I have been going over the budget, and yesterday, this is the form that SMP, as you can tell, put together, and it shows the the various expenses, and just a bunch. All the construction expenses are summarized under the Bowen construction portion, and including the contingencies that they had set up for unforeseen expenses, most of which is coming back to us, I think about around $85,000 or something. It's coming back to us, but it's not coming back to us in the form of a check. It's on a budget, it will show that. But as I say to the Bowen people, and we have already spent that, because that's what we used along with the owner's contingency to buy furniture and all these other things that we had not funded. But when I looked at the way we track it and the way the town was tracking it, the numbers weren't really matching up. So I met yesterday with Amy Delray to find it, and she was very helpful. And she has sent me all a listing like Lydia has as well. Lydia sent me her version. Thank you, Lydia, by the way. Very, very useful. Because a lot of the billings that show up on Amy's just have the payee, not what it was for. So if it's Tucker Library Interiors, I know that's showing. Or, certain vendors I would know. But we bought a lot of things from Amazon, Best Buy, other vendors. So that's what I'm having to incorporate into this. So I thought I would have this ready to be able to share with you in detail, but it's still a work in progress. I spent a couple hours on it this morning. And then I have yet to go through all the ins. So they're all legitimate bills. It's just trying to get them under the section that's the owner's responsibility in this worksheet. My numbers without all that research were coming up that we will have money left over that we can, let the town use to reduce the tax bill this year or something like that. I'm not sure we're going to have much that's different at this point. But the most interesting part of my meeting with Amy was she would tell us there's I don't remember $40,000 left in the grant. And I'd say we have more than 40,000 outstanding of bills yet to pay, and so this is not looking very positive for us. But what became clear was the library capital reserve, which has about $28,000 in it, that Melanie was actually asked about that by the trustees of the trust funds. And I thought, well, that must be in there. Well, it has, it turned out the select board voted to use that to reduce the amount of the bond, that sort of thing. They made that vote as to how the money would be used, but they did not take a separate vote to authorize the expenditure of those funds. So they are still sitting in the trustees of the trust funds, and they need to be moved over into this account so that we can bill against it. So I had quite a discussion with Amy about that, and she was just poor middleman. Well, you know, she's not authorized to bill against that at all. And I said, but the voters authorized $3.331 million for this library, and we need that 30,000 as part of that. So, and she spoke to Connor, and he emailed back that explanation of, oh, we need another vote from the select board. So he's going to put it on their November 19th select board agenda. And he said it would be a good time as well to have the discussion with the select board about the use or how the monies that are coming back to us, to the town, related to the solar rebates, and a $7,400 check has been also received by the town. That was an incentive payment calculated by Eversource, and then the check came from some company in California. But it's basically a reward for the level of insulation and energy efficiency that was put into the building. They went through a whole process to analyze that, and you get so many dollars per how many kilowatt hours you save. Obviously, even Eversource hired Resilient Buildings Group to do the calculation for them, and then it was submitted. So when the town got that check and wondered what it was for, you could say that's what it's for. Now, I've said to Connor, we would like to have that money put into the tech capital reserve, because we've pretty much drained that account. And he explained, initially he had said, we could do that, we could ask that if the select board approves it, but then it has to go to the voters. Now he explained that those checks coming back in do not need to go into a capital reserve. They can stay in like the general fund, but be restricted use for whatever purposes. So the likely amount of money that we're talking about is the $7,400 check that was the energy efficiency reward, I'll call it. An anticipated $10,000 rebate for the solar project. And then the town next year, in 2026, will apply for the tax credit, even though we don't pay taxes, but that's how you get the money from the federal government, which is 30% of the total project cost for the solar project, which was about $140,000. So you can do the math. That's going to be about $40,000 or more. And it comes into the town, it goes to the select board, so it's up to the select board as to how those funds are used. So I'm interested to have a little discussion here as to how you would like to see what we should put forward, what recommendation or request we should put forward to the select board for how much of those monies the library would like to see used for the library and what for specifically.
I think it's a good idea to put some in tech capital reserve.
And we probably wouldn't actually put it in the reserve, but they would, it would be restricted.
It
for that
would
purpose.
be earmarked.
Yeah.
I think that's a great idea. Technical vendors.
Well, Lydia, remember last month we approved the technology, a tech plan.
Yeah.
Was it a 5-year plan, 4-year, 5-year plan, which was about $5,000.
Is there any ongoing expenses, maintenance required for the solar system?
For the solar system? I don't recall anything. I think we have I can't remember the number of years of warranty we have. I think it's a 3-year workmanship warranty and 1 or 3 years on, that's included. And with Bowen, all the operational, everything Bowen did has 1 year. We just call them and they come and fix it.
So that generator was here. On the
Yes.
building. And how old is that?
I'm guessing it's 20 years old.
Because that's a pretty expensive rubber that had to be replaced.
Yeah,
And that would be a good, I think putting aside money every year, even if it's a small amount, would be a good idea for that.
yeah, I don't know I'd have to talk to Jim Anderson about what's the maintenance. We budgeted for maintenance of the existing one, and I don't know what the lifespan is of these things.
And also, if there were a power shutdown for an extended period of time, say 2 or 3 weeks, which could happen with an ice storm,
Well, not to repeat, rare, and
not
not,
very rare, but.
and quite honestly, I'm thinking of the big worst storm we had was back in the 90s,
Yeah.
wasn't it? And we were out for maybe a week.
2000, because I get back here in 2006.
Yeah, it was a lot of spin that year. I
Yeah.
remember
Yeah,
Yeah, about
many, many days.
5 days or something. We just.
Besides, well, my question I was going to ask was, if we have a power outage, how much of the power is made up by could the library be run on the solar power?
Well, it depends on the weather.
weather and not in the winter.
That's what I can say, because a lot of time.
You're worried about ice outage.
Get so much energy
It's
from
not
the
gonna,
solar and stuff.
it could be some. So clearly we would want to have, and we could make the pitch that we would like to have the 5-year plan funded, that would like $17,000 to bring directly earmarked only for technology at the library, and that would mean we would not need to be asking for warrant articles for the next 5 years.
That's right.
So does technology include the generator and.
And that would basically be asking to have the $10,000 state rebate and the 7,400 energy efficiency earmarked for that purpose.
And then there would still be the 30% of the 140K.
Yeah. It's gonna, it would be hard. The argument to say all of that money should be designated for the library because it is generated by private donations, not by taxpayer dollars at any level. However, I know the town would also look at it, if I were on the select board, I'd be saying we're being pressed on many angles. And that money may be needed as a priority elsewhere.
What about our utility costs?
Yeah. Using it for operating
It's
expense.
the end of the day.
Okay.
Anything,
It's hard to project what the actual savings will be until like next year, this time we'll have a much better idea.
Yeah.
I mean, Jack might be able to help us get a little bit nearer to what it might actually be, but we have no idea.
we have no idea. It's not gonna be $400 a month, that good month that we had. And,
Yeah.
I had asked about maybe Jack coming to a
yes,
trustee meeting sometime and just talking about solar for I think that'd be really helpful.
maybe we should put that on for our November agenda.
Does he,
That's Jack Biggin. Pardon?
does he kick off with the winter?
I don't think so. I hope not, because he's gotta be keeping an eye on our. Florida, someplace. I do not know. But we could get in touch with him and maybe we'll have a couple of things done on the November agenda that will be, if Connor can come and give the trustees a report on the compensation survey. One thing, by the way, in the conservation survey that I remember he said was, while the current budgets that are being presented show a 3% cost of living increase and a step increase, those decisions to do those increases have not been made by the select board. One of the ABC people even questioned the 3% COLA based on some actual data on this. On what the cost of living is and so on. So, I don't know where that. But he also said something like, if they adopt the recommendations of the consultants who did the compensation survey, it might be that you don't see that they just adjust that whole chart to a 2026 level. And so there's not a separate COLA, it's incorporated in the new wage and salary scale. No idea. So I think it would be useful. So we'll put down that we'll ask Connor and Jacqueline to come in and speak to us at our meeting. And I guess what I'm hearing from you all is that we should ask for like approximately 20,000 or thereabouts. Was it 17,000? Whatever would cover.
It was,
our 5 year.
tech claims 21,000.
Okay, so whatever would cover that tech plan. And with the knowledge that we would not be asking for warrant articles. To keep replenishing that. As far as the larger amount, the 30% of the federal rebate, and I have no great expectation of that really materialize. Right now, the federal government had said it's, they didn't delete that. If you got your solar project in and you had it completed within 60 days of the budget bill or whatever it was passing, it was whenever it was, July or something, then you were fine. And of course, we were all done by then. But they could change their mind.
I just read that some sort of library is gonna be doing a big renovation,
Yeah.
and they just got informed that $6.9 million from the federal government not come.
So much for the renovation. I didn't know that's a pretty big, that wasn't solar related, that was just some other federal.
Yeah.
She stopped in yesterday and told me the reason why they weren't getting their funds was because of the healthcare going up in the schools, like
Oh, yes.
ridiculous.
Yeah, that was interesting. If you've read that school care, which is the self-insured pool for teaching, for most of the school districts. Connor talked about that at the meeting as well. And I don't know if he was there when they discussed it at a public hearing at the legislature, but the Secretary of State's office apparently is involved in that. And they claimed in prior years that school care had too big a reserve. And so school care gave back millions of dollars to their members. And then an increase in prescription drugs and utilization. And then they didn't have enough reserves, so they're 30 million in the hole. They increased, I shouldn't say on the whole, but they had increased do an assessment of 30 million. Barrington's portion of that is somewhere over $400,000.
Well,
But apparently the school district has a surplus that they were going to use, but they can pay that. But I presume that means they're going to be replenishing. We're going to see it in the school budgets. The school budget is going to go way up. Connor did say I keep going back into the budget stuff, but he said the town had been estimating a 10% increase in their healthcare insurance premiums. And it's turning out to be 7% instead. They changed how they grouped the employer size. And so Barrington got put in a different employer group with a better experience rating. And so it actually is a 7% increase. So that's on health insurance for the town side, but it doesn't help the state. So anyway.
So when the health plan gave the reserves back to all the school districts,
Depends what the school district had, because my school is Health Trust, not this.
Yeah, Health Trust is in a better situation, even though the secretary tried to say that Health Trust also had too much in reserves, but they resisted, and so they're okay. Even with the increase in cost, they haven't had to do an assessment. But, you know, the other thing is it may help us, even if we don't have an indefinite, we could say, you know, that 30% of the money, we could put that, use that towards any maintenance expenses. It's all savings of future. You know, it's one bucket into another,
Right.
and we're dedicated to the library. The other thing we could say is, yes, we have an increase in staffing cost because of the way we structured it. And we can justify the need for the hours and so on, but volunteer dollars having nothing to do with the town is potentially bringing in some valuable resources, and we should be able to not be billing this to it, but it should be a consideration in moving to the budget we put in.
So is the ABC, the selectmen going to consider that since we've been getting that much in volunteer dollars, it's going to continue, so they will have to increase that budget because of that? In other words, if they say, okay, you've been getting so much money from volunteers.
Well,
So-
but that's all spent. It doesn't. have
Right,
to do
but
with the budget.
What I'm saying is, you've been getting that every year, so we anticipate you're going to get it this year, so we don't need to give you as much money to offset that.
But what Isabella does, we can't have volunteers do.
No, I mean, I don't mean the volunteer hours, I mean the volunteer money that's.
The dollars, the donations.
Oh,
Those donations were raised purely for the solar.
Okay. Just,
So,
if I was them, I.
well, and all of our volunteers do anything. You know, there's a state rate for volunteer hours, a monetary rate.
that you calculate on the value of the hours.
Yeah,
But it's,
but Isabella, the task that Isabella does, we cannot have
no,
volunteers do.
no, but I think what you were talking about, Robert, we get cash donations from Friends of the Library, we get cash donations from
On
the
the,
foundation. And so why can't they just keep raising more money to cover operating expenses?
Right.
And that's not what those groups do.
Yeah.
So, okay, well, that's helpful.
I do have a question. When you started talking about building maintenance, about the purchase of the snow blower.
That's a purchase that we had intended to cover. Was to buy a snow blower out of bond funds. We haven't bought that yet. Has Jim spoken to you about that?
But we hadn't talked about it for a while, and I knew the money was getting thin.
Yeah,
I'm like, okay, where's that gonna come from now?
well, I mean, we should talk to Jim about pricing out what he thinks he needs for clearing the sidewalks here. And then go from there. I think we're very close, but my guesstimate right now is that we're within about $1,000.
That was a snowblower, a big snowblower would cost, yes, $1,000.
That costs about 1,000 or 1,500.
Yeah, it costs more to get it. A little bit.
So we'll see. You know, I think that, I think that that's our obligation, to cover that cost. It's only gonna be used for the life.
Towns,
They're gonna, yes, they'll
Plow.
walk behind it, but the machine itself,
oh, they're.
that needs to be here and it needs to be housed here. Yeah. So,
I wonder too, I should, and maybe, I don't know if you want to ask Jim, if we should put anything on the edge of the garden. So, you know, sometimes they put certain sort of
Yes.
thing.
Yeah.
It's a good idea.
that's a
Yeah,
good idea.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's that. We already talked about furnishings. Landscaping, Lydia, what do you have to say about landscaping?
So, I want to mention that last month you gave me permission to remove the glossy buckthorn invasive shrubs. So my husband did come and chainsaw it down, so it's gone. But we had, it was at a cleanup day, and I tell you, there were a couple of people there that were a little horrified that I was doing that. I told them I had the trustee permission. So I was just doing it on my own.
Did you get dig up the roots of it?
No, so that's gonna be a task when we have some people with maybe axes, things like that.
I'm digging irons.
Okay, digging iron, so we didn't, but it is down and gone. So, yes, and we had a group come, mainly a lot of friends of the library came, and we planted probably about 150 daffodils, all donated, no cost. And so we mainly planted them around the sign, which I thought would be, look really nice, and by the little boy and girl. And we didn't put them in the entrance gardens, yeah, just because we have to be careful with the irrigation system now and all that. So we didn't plant any there. And plus it can be a little messy looking, but we thought it'd be great because the hostas will grow up and cover them around the side.
Yeah.
And let me see. Oh, and I also planted, I got from Hyder House, had a lot of allium bulbs. Yeah, allium bulbs. And so we planted some of those around too. So
Is there still some mulch out there?
there is a little bit mulch left. Yeah.
So what's gonna happen with that?
So I didn't know, it's just a little bit, if we might put a little bit more around the sign, use it up.
I mean, you can do it like, I think it would be nice to have the tarp and the
Yeah.
mulch
Yeah.
go on the board by the snow flies.
Yes. Let me see if I have it. Oh, and I wanted to let you know, I have a connection with Bedrock Gardens and they donated through Allison McGill, who's runs their education programs there. She gave me about 24 native plants for our garden from Bedrock. So they were like leftover plants at Bedrock Gardens.
Great.
So I planted some in the garden, a couple of bee bombs, and the rest I'm overwintering and see how they look. I mean, of course, they were like leftovers from their sale, so they weren't great looking plants, but you plant them and see how. I thought that was great.
Good.
Oh, one last thing, I was going to ask do I need permission from the trustee board to seek a grant from the Master Gardeners?
What would the grant be for?
For possibly what we're going to call phase 3 garden in the back. Or maybe a children's sensory garden. Something we still have to talk about. And we're going to have another landscape garden meeting next month.
I think it will probably be good to get the endorsement.
Mhm.
I'm not sure, does anybody have any questions about that? Is this a raised garden or just a particular area that would be planted with sensory kind of things?
We're meeting the back here in that area. That we already have an irrigation system in there. So
Berwick Library out back has a greenhouse that they grow, I think for the kids to grow vegetables or whatever, flowers.
No, we're not gonna go that far. You're not looking for that. You're looking
No.
for just,
It's a small one, it's about the size of this
yeah,
tablespoon.
but you're talking about a garden that would have things in it like,
So like a sensory garden would have like, different plants that smell, you would have taste, you might have like blueberry bushes or shrubs, which actually look really beautiful too with the colors. Strawberry plants, things like that, so touch, sound. I also have someone from Hyder House is willing to donate a little water feature.
ooh.
So, this is like all ideas and something we could run by Lydia and this, what she thinks, what the staff think about doing that. But I think it'd be really great for anyone to enjoy like a sensory type garden.
Well, would there be a motion to support the work to develop a sensory garden?
Or you could say like I don't know if we can say sensory yet. We have to talk about it as a group and see what Lydia thinks about it too.
Okay, well, I guess I'm gonna say, it sounds nice to me, what's not to like, but I think it would be good, particularly if you're seeking either funding or grant or anything like that. Are you gonna have a meeting between now and November?
Yes.
Okay, why don't you bring that back?
Okay, I'll bring it back to the
Meeting.
date. Because I was going to just see about, I know the friends were going to give me $500, give the garden group $500 again. And then I was thinking of writing a grant for, I think the Master Gardeners is like $300 that they'll give the grant. So I thought that would be.
Okay. And I will just say, Wendy has talked about wanting to apply for, either, I don't know if it's funding or materials or something. Lowe's has a program where they will make donations. She at one point talked about like solid vinyl fencing, thinking she could eliminate a lot of noise and a staging. And I said, you're never going to get the noise I think, enough that you would want to have a staging outside. And then she was more recently talking about a swing set. Some parents miss, of course, not being next door to the playground. Wendy looked into the Primex, talked to somebody at Primex about that. I have some concerns about that, and I really don't see us needing to deal with that until
Next year.
next spring. I know you could ask for the money, but I really think it needs to be part of a whole plan for the grounds.
I would think that that playground, the rec is covered under their insurance.
Yeah, so we have town insurance,
On the town insurance or their insurance?
town insurance.
Okay, so then ours would be covered under town insurance.
It would be covered under town insurance, but it would be an additional,
Right.
add the insurance. You have to have rubber mulch or something,
Has to be.
that sort of thing. You have to also make sure that kids are supervised. And,
They used to fall around.
you know, so I think we need to really, the trustees should take some time to think about what's the plan for the overall grounds, you know. I just was reading in the NHLPA newsletter from a quarter ago that Center Harbor, little library in Center Harbor got a grant to be basically doing out exterior renovations to bring community together. And they were doing picnic tables and some deck chairs and, you know, that sort of stuff. And I just think we ought to have a new plan and not a piecemeal.
Is there a plan for a fence in the front and wall?
Well, that's what we have talked about.
I think that should precede anything with the playground at any time. And that would make sure that that's protected.
Yeah. And we really like the look of the fencing out in front of the,
That looks great.
so, yeah.
That's very
And we see the fence, but has that opening, that's gonna last longer because it's such a wind break.
Sounds.
So I guess, and it's not something that's gonna get done before winter, but that probably makes the most sense is to start with fencing along that side that would keep, you know, youngsters from. Yeah, I mean, there's still the trees there and I haven't seen kids running in the road, but there have been kids around with bicycles and, you know, kids.
A lot of people come walk their dogs and I'm here after hours. So.
Okay.
She's saying this thing that they're not, that's why she knows they've been here.
Yeah, and I think it might be useful. I don't know whether if you're willing to take on another responsibility, but to be the trustee, who's sort of the lead on a plan for the grounds, working with staff.
Right, I did ask Wendy to join our garden landscape group, but she didn't seem like she said that she wasn't interested in joining, but Lydia's.
As long as Lydia is on.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so that's landscaping. That was, I gave you the foundation report. Friends. Okay, what's going on with the friends? Has anyone been to a?
I know Susan and I weren't at the last meeting.
Oh, I was at the last meeting. A big thing is that the Capasas and incredible leaders of that group. And we have had a large number of very enthusiastic people come to the meetings, which is really terrific. I mean, more than this group, but we're having trouble finding people who are willing to take leadership role. So that's a big effort that we're making. And the next fundraiser is the raffle baskets, which will be, the Friends will have a table at the crafts fair on November 8th at the middle school. I'm not able to do it because I will be selling my police crafts. So, and doing a memorial table for Mackenzie and then the two youngsters the past one. So, I will not be able to help, but there were people that volunteered. And
Those two brother and sister that,
yeah,
I'm sorry, the brother and sister in the car accident.
Mhm.
Okay. Okay.
So that's what they're up to, and they approved a budget for support of the library. That might have Was that done at that meeting?
Yes.
Yes.
Just, you may already know it, but the reason that accident happened is because they were getting ready to turn down that road and they had the wheels turn. So when the car hit it, it pushed them in front of the vehicle. If the,
Oh, this
Wheels
was one that,
the accident.
Count planes?
yeah, if the wheels had been straight ahead, the car would have just pushed them
Yeah.
straight ahead. They wouldn't have gone in front of the truck. So before you make a turn, keep your
Yeah.
wheels straight until you turn.
So Lydia, can you summarize for us what the Friends are committed to at this point, funding for the library in the next year? Remember? It was
Yes.
around $5,000 or $6,000.
Yes, actually, it came in about $100 under what we had discussed at that last meeting. Because we deleted some of the print magazines. So they offered to, or pledged to support all of the print magazines. And then the library would be responsible for getting an electronic version of the newspaper through Seacoast Online. So that will be part of our periodical budget.
So we'll be
next year
buying another tablet specifically
for that,
for
yeah,
that.
at some point.
Okay. They
And
can
then-
use the computers to go online to read that, can't they?
Well, it's gonna need a password. So I was thinking that we would just have a dedicated tablet. And it was set on that table right there by those swivel chairs near the hospitality section. And then test it for 6 months, to see how much it's being used. And if no one's using it, then we'll just.
Because the other newspapers are not really getting, there's one or two people that like to read the newspaper. But otherwise, it's not getting a lot of.
And that particular person is not interested in using, reading it online. And
We can't just.
he's the only one that.
$800 a year for,
And he-
fosters.
And even he said that, he said,
Yeah.
he said get rid of the Concord monitor too, if he's the only one.
Yeah,
When I was just at the desk, a couple walked in and the woman was asking where our newspaper reading area was.
well, a lot of libraries, you go to Concord, big libraries, they get a lot of newspapers and.
Yeah.
So we're gonna move on. So that's it for Friends for now. Under old business, the trustee library roundtable is this Saturday. The people are, the timetable we put on it was 10:30 to 12:30. I have received a list of the registrants for it, of which there are around 45, something like that. And some of you are on there, some of us did not register, some of you did, which I apparently were supposed to, but I'm gonna
We
show.
should send an email to do it.
I did not get that. I got emails about sign up for this, but I didn't think it applied to me.
I
Didn't think so either, guys.
So we're not signed up.
But, and the other thing was they asked for topics that people are interested in discussing. And this topic seemed to be pretty consistent across all these regional meetings. People want to talk about policies, relationship with friends. I'm trying to do it. I sent it to you guys. I don't know.
I just wanted to.
Personnel, managing personnel, and I forget there's another topic that comes up. So I'll be facilitating the discussion. Katrinka Palecia from League is on the NHLPA board. She'll be attending and she'll take notes. And she will also share information on the legislation that was passed this year about parents being able to access information about what their kids are reading. And Exeter Library has done a very detailed request for information and assistance to the Attorney General's office about how do we implement this? What kind of policies are we going to need? If someone comes in, how do you, and says they're somebody's parent, how do you ask for proof? You know, what if they have a different name? What if, you know, all that stuff. Yeah.
They just look at the books that they bring home. That is so weird.
So we did receive, instructions from Primex specifically for libraries this afternoon. It was on the listserv.
Interesting.
So I printed it out where they're stating what exact procedures you need to have in.
for that particular.
For that particular project.
Very useful. So I'm sure that we'll have a little summary discussion about that, and then we'll talk about what everybody else is interested in. Couple of us, like not you, I don't know if you're gonna come Friday, but several of us Friday afternoon are gonna come and set up chairs. You're coming, and Karen and Richard, I think you said you would help us out. So we'll set up the room, and Karen has kindly gotten nice fall themed paper goods. And Robert volunteered to get cider
Did, okay.
at the last meeting. Are you still doing that? I thought,
Yes.
I saw you the other day.
Yeah.
We have a pretty table, some could see.
Karen's got tablecloth.
Karen has tablecloth. Okay,
Karen, you got tablecloth?
Yes, I have,
nice.
two big ones and then I've got, I didn't know how many. Then I got one that was kind of orangey to kind of go with the plates, so.
So we'll probably set up tables for refreshments there.
2 gallons.
And I got two sizes.
Is
of
2
plates
gallons?
now.
Yeah, pretty people, is 2 gallons of cider enough? I have no idea.
If you have coffee,
We have a Keurig for people who want coffee or tea.
I was gonna do a 24-pack of bottled water as well.
Oh, great. Yep. I was gonna make coffee cake, gluten-free coffee cake, but it's actually very delicious.
And gluten-free, I think I thought it. So Lydia's gonna do coffee cake. Debbie is gonna do whatever.
Doing fruit
And
and
Richard and Carolyn are doing fruit, and Ezra's bringing cider donuts.
Oh, yes, that's right.
And
I'm happy to bring anything that's needed.
I think we still need some things to eat.
this thing's not sweet or what?
No, I think more to eat, like,
More to eat?
yeah, because if we have so much fruit.
I think tea breads are nice.
Maybe cheese.
I was gonna,
Well, it's 10:30 for mountains.
oh, that's it,
Bring whatever.
morning, kind of morning stuff.
Yeah,
Learning
10:30
is
to
stuff.
12:30.
Now, remember one time I said, well, maybe we should do cheese and crackers. And then, well, that didn't feel right for morning, but. Yeah, something savory, like some savory scones. or something.
That sounds good. You make wonderful scones. so.
No, and I have another event I'm going to, and another potluck, that's apple pie, so I'm gonna be cooking on Friday.
Do you need more help setting up or do you think you have enough?
What time?
If you would love to stop by.
So what time?
5 o'clock.
5 o'clock,
Five
just,
o'clock, okay.
the library closes at 6, we're gonna have plenty of company there.
So my suggestion, at the other meetings, we had circles, and you said we couldn't do that because there were too many people. But what about a double circle? It's still, I just think it brings in more people. Otherwise, if it's just, they're all those people who sit in the front and not talk.
I don't know what to say, 'cause,
Anyway,
45 chairs is a lot of chairs. When we have the reading group in here, and the last time the reading group met, there were, I'm trying to think, 15 people or something like that, and it was a big circle, and it's hard to hear across a big circle.
You're gonna have tables for the chairs?
No, tables.
So how are you thinking of setting up then?
I don't know, I was thinking of
You're gonna have food if.
rows of, 6 rows.
Wendy will be here and she sets this room up all the time, so she.
Yeah, that's why I thought. it's a
Staff
double
meetings,
circle.
oh, we still have 40 people in a circle.
Oh,
Yeah,
What about, what about 2 rows there and 2 rows here and 2 rows here? And whoever's speaking can speak in the center.
and you can do each one, and it will be there.
I could have.
yeah, maybe we should. We're gonna meet at 4:30,
If you do that, if you have rows like that, you're always gonna have your back to somebody.
You do anyway.
Yeah, but
Not if everybody's here, and just talking this
We'll
way.
work it out. Anybody who wants to come and help, 4:30 on Friday, and then come in Saturday, come, 10 o'clock, we'll have a half hour. Some people are gonna arrive early and wander around. And we will, my plan is, we'll have everybody introduce what library they're from and like that. And then I'm gonna ask people to indulge us and watch the 4.5-minute video of the building of the library. So, and then after the meeting's over, we'll offer tours And then we'll just break people into groups, so, you know, we don't have to station themselves like we did before. But we'll wait a little bit on that. So that's that. Under new business, I wrote notes, but I didn't give it to you. I've talked to Lydia about this. This is another, it sounds like housekeeping, but, you know, the library trustees have a set of bylaws. I haven't read them in forever. I don't think they've been amended or reviewed in years.
2021.
2021.
That's what I was doing when you came, just looking through that book to see,
What was,
get the days.
I would like to have, the other thing is we need to, I was looking at the NHLP newsletter where they talked about public comment. And not that we have a lot of public comment here, but we should have rules of procedure. And we don't. And so that's another area where, like the town has very detailed ones, we could have simplified ones, we can find out what other libraries do. And then the other thing is we have to get back to reviewing our own library policies, ones that need to be updated and ones that maybe are fine, even though there's the date on them on the website may say 2012. Well, somebody needs to read them. And even if they don't need to be changed, we should re-adopt them so they are current. And we should try to get through that in the next 6 to 12 months. So I wanted to get that process set up. Are there volunteers who would want to work on a committee to work with Lydia on policy? The way it would work, if you would, as far as the policies, reviewing them, I would leave it to Lydia to identify which ones most need to be reviewed. Maybe you do 2 for each meeting. And then you send them out to, or would send them to the trustees to review before a meeting. If it was done, move on to the next. So is there anyone who's interested in them? Richard is one.
Yes, I'll do that.
Richard, Lydia. Third person?
It depends on timing, but I will do it. If I have. Yeah. Depends when you want me.
Debbie, would you be interested in working on that?
As long as I don't have to do it in the next month, I'm kind of swap to the next one.
Well, once a schedule is made of what policies we're reviewing, we could also have some.
Right, and so right now, I had the circulation, I need to make changes to that, and coming up with, there were 2 of them that I already earmarked that I need to look at. So those 2 are the most important, and so we could look at meeting sometime in December or.
Yeah.
We didn't really have.
It's not a rush, it's something. I'm not looking to have these come up the
Need
next.
that.
We already, we've already been the meeting rooms and the art display on.
That's great. Great idea.
Okay,
Um,
so that's that, and that's all I have for tonight. Does anybody have any other business or?
is this more of an energy to discuss?
Does anybody else, I think, want to look at this, look into it, we'll send it around.
I did not
Double check.
Yeah.
I didn't.
Yeah, but that was just before we suggest that they can get it, changes, so they want to put it down so she can.
So with that, we would have a motion to adjourn. There a motion to adjourn,
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I will second it.
and we are adjourning at. What's the time?
I said it was. Did you want to?
6:46. 6:46.
Too many visitors in the month, is that in from September, or is that? Through the second month?
So that's my.
Yes, for you, that was September 1st.
Kind of,
Yeah.
yeah.
I don't see that.
As I-
It was over. 32.
Oh, the junior, the next.
And then even.
Thank you, ma'am.
But some of that's, don't know, you're doing the those.
Yes. And these numbers From the left, from the gate, the gate from the old.
Yeah, but it's right, yeah.
Reliable.
It was just the right amount of pumpkin. Yeah, I didn't think it's gonna be over.
It's a great baker.
No, I just
Yeah.
read that, because I say, I got the New York.
But this is way, this and all people found them way more reliable. Thank you. I will make it and bring it back to the next.
But I'm gonna call it before we can start us.
You absolutely do.
I don't know, I don't think they work. I think I need, I like fish bites here. I like. It's more better than I just. But I think you guys think I'm saying, no.
It's so important. Electric outlet. I'm sure outlet.
Yes.
This,
Yes.
well, this is.
When I get from the where, I want to go.
No, I'm wondering.
I would think that